Hey everyone, just before we jump into the episode, if you're listening to this and struggling to build pipeline through outbound prospecting, go and grab yourself a free access to my new prospecting course. It's got lessons on cold calling. It has the script that my last team used to go from 6 meetings a month to 60 meetings per month. I break the exact script down and I give you one of my AI tools so that you can build your own version of it. I have a lesson on outbound email, how to actually write that very first outbound email, teaching you the key components, and I give you examples of what good looks like. There's lessons in there on how to use video and voice note prospecting to cut through the noise and grab your buyer's attention. And then there's a whole load of other resources in there and lessons and tools. So if you're struggling to build pipeline, go and grab that now. There'll be a link in the video description. Anyway, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hit Your Numbers podcast. And today we've got a really interesting conversation with Will. Hey Will, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks, James. How you doing?
Doing really, really well, thanks. Looking forward to this topic, something I think we should be talking about a hell of a lot more in go-to-market. So the name of the show today is why employer branding actually should also sit with go-to-market leaders, not just HR, recruitment, or marketing. And we're going to get into the reasons of why and what you can actually do to start to implement some of this stuff in your business today. But maybe just before we jump into it, Will, do you want to give the listeners a 30,000 foot view? Who are you? What are you up to? And then we'll jump into the conversation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, really excited about this topic, something which is close to my heart as well. So, Will, I lead the AI sales team at Zendesk for our SMB segment. So currently doing that. And then alongside it, it's kind of a passion project. I also run something called the Known Club. So helping founders and salespeople build their personal brands, tell their story, get known for something, and really make a mark for themselves in today's market.
Love that. And we'll put some links in the descriptions to follow you on LinkedIn and your kind of side hustle. Has that got a website and stuff like that where people can go and check it out?
Yep, I'll make sure it's all linked so everyone can kind of go and join if they want, and sign up for the newsletter.
Love it, because we're going to be mainly talking about employer brand and talent attraction at like the leader level, but also at the rep level, right? Like I think the way that we go to market and prospect and drive deals through the sales process and then expand and retain customers is going to significantly change over the next couple of years. It's been changing since the good old days a few years ago. And with AI and automation, I think branding is going to become even more powerful. I was doing some prep work on a GPT for something recently, and it came back and said trusted human advisor. So even AI knows there's a place for human beings in the future, right? And brand obviously is a good place to start. So from your perspective, why do you think go-to-market leaders should care about building a personal brand online?
Yeah, I think there's really two angles to it from my experience. The first one is obviously day-to-day role, right? As a go-to-market leader, your team, you're tasked with hitting a quota, exceeding a quota, bringing in new business, expanding current customers, etc. And what I've noticed, and you alluded to it slightly at the start, is over the last few years in particular, the market has just got more and more crowded. Every business out there now offers some form of AI solution. And as customers, as prospects, people are getting hit up all the time by outbound messages, some of which are very clearly AI written and very little thought and effort has gone into them. And because of that competition, because of the, I guess, size of the market in terms of vendors, it's getting harder and harder to cut through the noise. And I think as buyers, people are being turned off to a large extent. And this is going to sound like a massive cliche, but I strongly believe people buy and people want to work with people that they trust. And so as a leader, I think it's really important to build a brand online that both your current customers, but also prospective customers can see, and they can actually start to resonate with you as an individual before they actually start to understand you and your company. So it's building that trust, thinking, hey, James is someone that I like the look of. I follow him on LinkedIn, for example. I want to work with this guy. Don't have the need to right now, but when that need comes, and it could be 3, 6, could be 12, 24 months time, it's your name that pops up. And I think it's our responsibility as leaders, but also to create that, but also to encourage our teams to create those brands as well. So I think that's kind of one angle. And the other angle is around employer branding and talent attraction. I I was made redundant in 2022, I think, 3 years ago now. And having a brand as a leader at the time gave me a huge head start because people had followed me on LinkedIn and they saw the news had broken that there'd been a mass layoff, and they contacted me straight away because there was a role open and I was top of mind. So from a candidate's perspective, if there's any leaders out there looking for a new role, it's a great tool. Equally, from a I want people to work with me perspective, it's about attracting the talent and showing the market that you're a great leader that people want to work with. And it's a way, really, I think, of highlighting the culture of a company um, through a very authentic, unfiltered lens. Don't get me wrong, I think marketing, HR still have a massive role to play in showing candidates what a culture looks like. But as a leader, giving potential future teammates, hires, an insight into what you're actually like as a person is a real differentiator, because the majority of companies still very much rely on either a LinkedIn page or a company page of their website.
I agree. I agree, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, have been for a few years, and I'll kind of share a bit of my story around that kind of brand journey as well. But I remember posting jobs at super early stage, scrappy startups, and like rubbing my eyes at the type of people that were applying for those roles. Like, what the hell? Like, a rep at that company wants to come and work here, and just because we did a really good job, like became pretty obsessed with like telling our story, sharing an outside in view of what it's like to work in. It's almost like you could look through the window and be like, do you know what? That looks like a great place to work. A lot of fun. They hustle. There's development. There's all these opportunities. Yeah, I might get an extra 20K a year at MongoDB, but I can see that manager sat down with that rep and doing a one-on-one, and that person's walking away inspired. Those little things you want to capture and share, and that's when you can start to drive people to you, not just customers, but also great talent that will help you drive customers,
I
right?
think,
And I think we just look at it differently.
yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's like people trust stuff that comes out of a corporate name on LinkedIn or on a website, but there's another layer when it comes from an individual. And so seeing somebody post a real insight into, hey, this is how we do our one-to-ones at this company, or this is how we conduct a deal review. This is actually the best brands for me, and the best kind of employer brands are when particularly startups share stuff that goes wrong, because
Yep.
that's the stuff you're never going to get that published on the website. But when a founder or a sales leader can say, "Hey, look, we lost this deal because we made these mistakes and we're learning from it. We're building as we grow," it's the best insight into what it's like to work with someone or at a company. And honestly, the responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, sits with sales leaders and go-to-market leaders to share that kind of thing.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And it pretty much costs you nothing, right? Like I quit my job 2 years ago. I was a VP of sales earning good money. Our baby was 3 months away. My missus was heavily pregnant. And I was like, you know, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm not cut out for this. I spend so much time in coaching conversations and stuff, and, got all of the receipts to back it up. I might as well go and turn this into a business. So I'd been doing posting for about 5 months and things like that, and pretty quickly started building a six-figure business with no outbound. Like
Yeah,
everything was coming to me, and like big brands as well, right? Where I would never have assumed that would happen. And then I wrote a book recently, published a book, and it's selling a lot as well. Like anytime we release stuff, it sells really, and I don't have to do any of that sweaty outbound.
yeah,
The sales process is really, really quick, because people now, it's taken me 2 years to get to this point, but I've just been banging the drum over and over and over again, where most people would get bored. And I'm like, hey, the problem in revenue is mainly skill gaps. Nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. Most people don't get any training. So we wonder why we find most reps miss quota. And people have started to put that on inbound forms now. I have big skill gaps. I don't have a degree in sales. I need to close those gaps. So that's the feedback loop for me. I'm like, okay, this is why this is working now. People are starting to attach to that message, and I'm becoming known
yeah.
for something. And that's the goal, right? Is to become known for something.
Exactly that. I think, like, I've throughout my whole career, I've always wanted to, and I hope most people think the same as this. I've always wanted to work with people that are smarter than me and that inspire me, so that I can be challenged and grow and become a better leader, become a better salesperson, whatever it is. Um, I think when you start to put that out there and show who you are, you'll get people who start to recognize you. Hey, I want to work with that person. And there are, I've honestly, I've got a list of people that I've seen, whether it's been at events or it's been on LinkedIn or elsewhere, that I want to work with because of what I've seen from them. I think actually it's very similar in my eyes to how in the B2C world brands use influencers or celebrities to promote a product. If you see a celebrity that you follow or whatever, or maybe it's a sports person repping a certain pair of shoes or a brand, you're more inclined to want to work with or like buy that product. And I honestly think B2B is exactly the same. And I think when it comes to talent attraction or even just sales in general, it works in exactly the same way. Our mentality isn't any different just because it's B2C versus B2C.
Yeah, I agree. And like authentic, being really authentic is better. It doesn't have to be high polished studio grade content, like raw, scrappy reality stuff, like what happened yesterday on a sales conversation, what happened across the team, what's happening in the business, that kind of stuff. Like share that. Some people listening to this might not be allowed to do that because they've got massive VCs and PR and legal teams, but like I also think that your position is to manage up and you know get some get people, make people become a bit more sensible to the stuff internally. You can't have this red tape for everything, but like start sharing the stories. Like salespeople say to me all the time, I don't know what to post on LinkedIn. I'm like, dude, you speak to salespeople, all customers and prospects all day long. Like you've got the most amount of content. Just open the page and be like, I was on a call with a manufacturing business the other day, and do you see it? Like, and you're just into it. It doesn't have to be this like super templated, structured thing. Just be
Yeah,
you.
it really doesn't. Like I'm gonna give him a plug, and he doesn't know I'm doing this, but if anyone follows Brian Lamanna on LinkedIn from Gong,
Hmm.
he did a post. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. Super simple. Like there's no fancy stuff. It was literally his 6 things that I did differently when it came to outbound, which got me meetings. And it was like I researched a CRO, found out that he during went to this high school and played in this year's like American football team, and I sent him a jersey with the graduation year on it. Things like personalized tips. That LinkedIn post got shared twice in 2 different Slack channels that I'm in
Yeah.
at work. It's that kind of thing that immediately you think, and I know when I see his name, if he ever moves from Gong anywhere else, it's going to be a rep that like I'll be like, oh, I'm interested in the product that he's gone to because he is very, very high quality, purely based on what I know about his brand, and he's not going to have gone to any old company. So, like from a talent attraction perspective, if you can encourage your reps to do the same thing, it's going to do wonders for your business, your pipeline, and attracting new blood as well.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And like this kind of works the same for selling to customers, but also selling to people and try and get them to come and work with you. Like we've all seen the Gartner stuff. 60% of buyers suffer with buyer's remorse. They've kind of gone through the process, bought something, finally got their hands on it, and gone, wait a second, this is very different to that very well polished demo that they gave me. So they've got their guard up, right? So like you mentioned earlier, crowded market. I wrote down next to it. I wrote down part of our positioning, which is actually like the reason that sellers have got these big skill gaps is because the buyers evolved, not just because sales has evolved. We've all been through the buying process now. We've bought stuff. Finance have asked, the CFO's come into our office 6 months later and gone, hey, Will, did we get that ROI that was projected on that business case? And you kind of, I'm just on a call at the moment, I'll come back to you. So you've got that situation. Companies are trying to foster a culture of collaboration, which is forcing bigger stakeholder groups. So you've got all of these different challenges. So becoming a brand, personal brand online is going to obviously help you build trust and confidence with your prospects. I believe that's why my business is doing really well, is because people see me as like an authoritative figure and they trust me. So they're happy to put, if it's an SDR, they're happy to put, 300 quid a month of their credit card into my membership. Or if it's a sales leader, spend 10, 15, 20 grand for me to come in and do a day session with their team. Right. It's just because I've built that brand online by telling those raw, authentic stories that make them feel like, hey, my guard is up, but I can lower it for that person.
Yeah, I,
And
I
that's the
think
same in this conversation, right?
yeah, you're exactly right. Like so I was before Zendesk, I worked at Ultimate. We were then acquired by Zendesk a couple of years ago, and I was approached as a sales manager there by SalesLoft. So SalesLoft came in cold outbound. I think it came on LinkedIn, maybe email, I can't remember, but it was from someone called Charlotte Johnson. And I'd followed her on LinkedIn for a while. And I honestly, at Ultimate, because we were Series A funded at the time, quite a bit of growth. It was just after ChatGPT came out. So the AI kind of topic was really top of mind. So I imagine every single AE and SDR out there was targeting AI first companies because it's where the money was. And being really honest, I would dismiss 9 out of 10, maybe even 49 out of 50 messages that I got because they weren't very personalized. They didn't know the name. I got so many that it wasn't like I didn't have the time to deal with them. Because of her name and the fact that I followed her, I felt like I trusted her through the content. We entered into a sales process, and it was nothing to do with the product. It was purely down to the fact that when the name popped in the box, I already knew who it was. So it wasn't a case of going trying to fit. We've all done it, right? The dance between who's the name, who's the company, what's the subject line. It was, I know this name, I recognize from LinkedIn. I've read her content, I've engaged with the content. I feel like I already know this person. I trust them, so I want to talk to them,
Yeah.
and I believe they know that they've got a solution to the problem that I've got. So it's things like that, and that for her was probably 2 years worth of work. It was 2 years worth of content built over time that I followed and subconsciously engaged with. But the knock-on effects in terms of pipeline for her at the time were huge. So it can have massive effects. And I think as buyers, it makes us feel at ease because it goes back to that point I made. We want to buy from people that we trust. People buy from people, not brands. So it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, they really do. And also, like, speed to differentiation is so important these days where every category is just exploded. So, the faster you can get in and start to differentiate and connect that back to business value, the quicker you make life very hard for every other AE in the competitive orgs that you come up against, right? And like you said there, it could just be good brand, recognize the name. So I'll start a sales process with that company, and that company's first on a discovery call, or they're sharing stuff with you before the discovery call to plant differentiation.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people just say, oh, isn't that just like posting like a link to a case study on LinkedIn? No, like if you actually have a strategy behind it, if you actually become a little bit obsessed with it so that you can figure this thing out, like again, you can do less prospecting and have more people come to you, and that means you can focus more on advancing opportunities and working on your craft, not banging the phones 150 times a day, getting a load of disconnects and people hanging up on you. Right,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
what's important. But like this other thing, should be treated, at the same level of importance.
I think I just treat it as like something that's running in the background for you. You never know when someone might see a piece of content that you've posted which really resonates with them, and it could be 9 months before they know that they need to speak to you about a problem. But if you're planting the seed, it's going to grow, it's going to mature over time, and when the time is right, I think that's the most important thing. A lot of the time as salespeople, we're reaching out when the time isn't right. What this is doing is it's putting your name in someone's head when the time is right for them. I think that is a massive shift. And for sales leaders, for sellers, it's a huge competitive advantage because so few people are still doing this. And we see on LinkedIn all the time, people are like, hey, only 1% post. It's going to take off. I think that very soon people are going to really cotton on to the fact that it's not a nice to have anymore. It really is something that you should be doing. It's a muscle that you should really be working.
Yeah, agreed. And I said to somebody about maybe 12 months ago, I said, dude, just got to keep riding the wave. Like a lot of these keyboard warriors won't last. Posting their magic beans on LinkedIn for $57,
Yeah.
they won't be able to keep the lights on. So you just got to stay accountable, consistent. And again, don't know about you, Will, but I just see a lot of people just give up on this stuff. They think it's a bit like an overnight kind of fix. It's like SEO. Like it's going to take 6, 9, 12 months for you to nail it and start seeing traction. Don't bother doing it if you're not going to carve out time, a couple of hours a week to really kind of put this into practice. You just won't get the results, and you just might as well go spend that time playing ping pong at the office.
Yeah, it's the best analogy. Like I always liken it to going to the gym, or running a marathon. Like if you're going to train for a marathon, you need to spend a good 6 to 9 months doing it. You can't just wake up one day, do a 10K, and think, "Hey, I'm done," and then expect to run 42 kilometers and not get cramp. And building a brand, content, employer brand, it's exactly the same thing. Like it's little drip feeds over time. And yeah, when I kind of a story about that. When I joined Ultimate 2 months, I think roughly 2 months after I joined, completely out of the blue, someone that I'd never heard of. So I'd never connected with this person, engaged with them. She reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're looking at potential AI solutions. I've been following your content now for around 12 to 18 months. And you popped up. Like, I checked out, I saw that you'd moved to Ultimate, you popped up and would love to have a conversation." And interestingly, the content that I posted wasn't about the solution that we were fixing. It wasn't about AI, and it wasn't about customer service. Like, the content I posted at the time was very different to that, but it resonated with her, and they've now been a customer of ours for 2 years. And that is, interestingly, it was also an account that our BDR team were trying to crack into and
Nice.
didn't get anywhere with. So like, it's proof that it works. It's one of them where you have to look past the immediate results and think of this as very much the long-term game.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. Like, you see a team trying to break into an account, banging their head against all, don't get it, and then you just randomly get a DM like that. That's really, really cool. I'm big on like evidence because LinkedIn's just full of just garbage BS. But in one of the learning paths in the platform I have, where we talk about like LinkedIn outreach and effectiveness, I've got this thing. So what I try and do at the beginning of like any like learning program is like try and share some screenshots from like a HubSpot dashboard or something, just to build some confidence that you're going to spend an hour or two here. You should really listen because this stuff kind of works. And I've got one where, she won't mind me saying this, but this director of sales enablement, I was sat on the sofa with the missus, and she just pinged me. She was like, "Hey, we're hiring a sales trainer. They probably won't be in seat for 3 months. I got a problem I need to solve with 20 sellers. Can you help me out?" And then like 2 months, 3 months later, there's a LinkedIn recommendation testimonial from her, and then another one from the sales trainer to close that loop. And I had no idea who that company were, or who she was before. She just sent me a connection request, sent me a DM asking to book a meeting with me. And I was like, dude, this is just cheating, you know?
It is.
You
It
know,
is.
but you got to stay in the game for those things to happen. Otherwise they never will.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, it's too many people give up, and my advice to anyone that I coach around this is don't buy into the 15, 30-day challenges, because we'll all do the same thing. It's like doing dry January. You do dry January, then you stop. It's the same with content. If you do a 30-day challenge, you're going to stop, or 9 out of 10 people stop. So just be that one person that continues, and you're going to see the results eventually. And it's going to be
It's
really
actually quite
useful.
fun as well, right? It's quite fun as well. It's like I actually quite enjoyed the challenge of trying to write good copy. It's like actually made me become a better writer.
It's amazing, like the impact you can have. I randomly, I was on the flight back last night and I was drafting some posts, and one of them was like the skills that you learn from writing on LinkedIn, and it is how to write, it's how to articulate I think we all default to this very business language when we write emails and Slack messages and things. We try to be all like, speak the way we think people want us to speak. And on LinkedIn, it's actually the opposite. It's write how you talk, because that's what people want to engage with. And it's a different skill to put something down with your fingers and type it out. The way you actually want to say it is very different to writing a formal email to ask for a proposal or ask for discounting, whatever it is. It's a great skill to learn. I think it's also a nice way of sharing experiences. Everybody wants to see and like live our own lived experiences, and so storytelling is a real skill. I think it has knock-on effects with sales as well. The best sales calls I've ever joined are when reps were able to tell a really great story and bring real people into it, share real experiences. And coincidentally, they just so happen to usually be the reps that also built a brand on LinkedIn and told those stories on platforms like that as well. So yeah, definitely encourage it.
So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills, and it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to the revenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps, and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions. Yeah, 1,000,000%. And I think the knock-on effect is also your copywriting skills would be significantly better, which means your business cases, which again, most people don't bother writing them. They've got these 50-page PowerPoint proposals that everyone skips to the end. But the ones that do write a business case, like that 1-2 page for the exec, like the copy is just so much better because again, you're used to like thinking about how do I inspire an audience? How do I, I can't remember who says it, but good marketing copy is all about selling them on the first line. If you can sell them to read the first line, sell them to read the second line, then sell them to read the third line. And my business cases have got so much better over the last like 3-4 years because I'm like, cool, what's that compelling call to action? What's the executive summary? How can I get someone that's got an 8-second attention span, which if you Google it these days, it's like down from 12 seconds. Like, how do I just keep hooking them? And so that's become better. My outbound email, the way that I write email templates and things like that, become better because I've focused on clarity, not like clever, templates and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a massive hack.
I think it helps people stand out as well. Like I do a thing as a sales leader. I take calls from prospective like people wanting to sell to me just to see what the sales experience is like. A lot of the time we're genuine, like obviously there's genuine interest in the product, but I pay a lot of attention to how the seller behaves and acts. And what's really noticeable is the majority of people are pretty identical. Like if you take 10 sales calls and you remove the logo and you ask people, hey, what product was that? You get really confused because everybody comes across in the same way. And it's the same with proposals. They all look generic, same with CVs, everything. Like if you lay them all out, they're all pretty similar. So I think learning how to write and talk and tell a story really stands yourself out. It's the same when people introduce themselves. Like it kills me when sales leaders or reps go into a room and they go, hey, my name's Will and I'm an account executive at blah, blah, blah. And I've been here for 3 years. Like that's the typical introduction. I always say to people like, coach, imagine you're a buyer and you've got 4 back-to-back meetings that day and you're evaluating the products. If 3 people introduce themselves like that, you're going to forget them. And then if you're the 4th, or it doesn't matter which order you come in, but if you introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm Will, my role is XYZ, I also do, and you tell a bit of a story, you're the one person that is remembered from them. You're going to be the one that stands out. So a week later, when someone in finance or whoever goes, hey, how's that project going? Which proposal are we moving forward with? They're going to remember you as the individual who made them feel human and made them feel kind of understood rather than just the rep who was like, hey, here's my proposal, here's the ROI. It looks exactly the same as the next 3 that you're going to see. So please pick mine. It's about injecting personality into it and like, yeah, being known for something when you leave that room at the end of the day and when they're having a debrief, they'll be like, oh, I really like that rep. Or like that sales manager said something to me, they knew something. And it can be as basic as having a conversation around a hobby or an interest outside of the thing you try to sell, right? But it's little bits of research that you do. It's also little bits of the story that you tell so that, because as sellers, we look our buyers up on LinkedIn first, right? We've all done it. We always look, you should do anyway. Our buyers do the same thing. And if they're looking you up and they see on your profile that you've got 2 kids or you lived abroad or you support a certain football team or like whatever it is, there's going to be something that clicks with them and just lets that guard down a little bit. So the impact it can have, like I don't think it should really go unnoticed.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And you mentioned something there about remembering the story. So I worked at a storytelling technology platform that was sold to enterprise, my last business. And, we always used to say like people are 22 times more likely to remember the story than just facts, and a good buddy of mine runs a storytelling business. And it's like, there's not just the customer story, there's your story. Like what's your strategic narrative? What's your unique point of view, etc. What's the customer story, right? Like it's not just about, you know, that case study. We've got to do case study for marketing. Open LinkedIn, copy, copy paste the URL, literally post it, and then they wonder why like it doesn't get any engagement. Like you got to sell people.
Yeah.
Like everyone's fighting for our attention. There's this war of attention going on. We need to stand out like a sore thumb in a positive way, right? And storytelling is is so important. And you're right as well. Like what you'll find is just randomers will just message you. Like I got a message the other night, an inbound lead from Australia, and was like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast. No idea who this dude is. Not even connected. Second degree. Um, I'd like to kick off the program." Do you know what I mean? Like that's just so cool. Like I'm just going about my business, flicking out some LinkedIn posts here and there, and then some dude on the complete opposite side of the country sees it, goes to listen to the podcast, listens to a few episodes, and goes, "Do you know what? I like what that guy says. I'm going to inbound."
Yeah,
No cold calls, no outbound messaging.
it's such a shift. It's such a shift that like there's no real reason why people shouldn't start embracing it.
Yeah. And also like with AI search, like we got a customer the other day that found us through ChatGPT. That's because some of my content had been indexed. And they said, like, who's the like trusted sales trainers? And like I came up and he clicked, went through the website, inbounded, became a customer. Like
Yeah.
you just this content thing is just so much more than putting a case study on LinkedIn and then just closing LinkedIn and getting on with your cold calls.
Yeah, I always say to people like when I started my career, way too long ago now, but like the first time I met people, I actually started it at LinkedIn as well, ironically. The first time you met people was in person, right? It was, you had a handshake with them, and that was your first impression. Nowadays, you'll get Googled before. If you're a seller, you pop up in someone's inbox, or if you manage to get a meeting, they're still going to Google you. And it's for me, it's do you want to be the same as everybody else, where it's, hey, I posted a case study, or hey, here's a link to our webinar, and then nothing else for 3 months? Or do you want to be the one who tells a story, is known for something, has an opinion? Because that's the person that your buyers or your potential like new candidates, new employees, that's the one that people are going to remember. Which is why I think it's so important. Like your first impression starts online, not in person anymore, and not over Zoom. Like it's very much done through other platforms. So you've kind of got to own it. Um, Otherwise, someone else will, and your job just becomes so much harder.
Yeah, agree. I haven't got any buddies at work at LinkedIn, but someone said this on a post recently, and it makes sense. So I've gone with it. But apparently, if you post on LinkedIn and you DM people, when that person comes online, looks at the DM and goes back to the news feed, they're likely to see your content. It makes sense. I don't know if I trust it, but like imagine you got two SDRs or two AEs that are trying to build pipe. You've got one AE that posts every single day and does LinkedIn DMs, and you got one that doesn't do the posting part. If that's
Yeah,
true, and they're both selling CRM, and they both get a similar DM because they copy everyone else's templates, and then they go to the newsfeed and they see your LinkedIn post, which is we've just helped this VP of sales reduce their time to close by 65%, and I've got a time to close problem.
yeah.
I'm going to go back to my DM and DM that dude because it makes me feel confident this person's got evidence to solve the problem.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, every single SDO in the country should be using it, as far as I'm concerned. Like, even if it's not to post around like their actual day job, like even if it's a passion project or something else, it's just the name recognition. Like the number of times you see the name, when you see someone's name on LinkedIn, you see the company they work for as well. So like employers should be encouraging this,
Yeah.
because I used to sell LinkedIn ads, so I was the one selling promoted content. I know how much it costs to reach 1,000 people, and it's not cheap.
No.
So like I tell companies all the time, and I tell sales leaders, because I know sales leaders who work with the marketing teams to do promoted content, etc. Like if you have a team of 10 reps, let's say, and each rep has got 1,000 connections, which I imagine most people these days do on LinkedIn, that's 10,000 connections. So every time they put out a post, if each of those reps are 7 posts a week, this is mental maths going well beyond my capabilities now, but it's a lot of impressions they're going to get. They're going to reach a lot of people. That's only first degree as well. Like, not to mention when somebody engages and it spreads to their network, etc., etc. Like the viral element, the amount of money that would cost a marketing team to do is ridiculous. Like when you really look at it, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of investment. So encourage your teams to do this, because one of them will get a lead, one of them will get an inbound, one of them will close a deal if it. One of them might get somebody DMing them saying, "Hey, your company looks really cool. Have you got any jobs going?" And that's hours saved on going out and searching for people. It makes the world a difference. Like I've not gone out and searched for a candidate in 5 or 6 years now.
Hmm.
They've almost all been inbound, or they've been people that I knew because of like their activity on LinkedIn. I've gone and reached out to them and said, "Hey, like we've got an opening, we'd love to work with you. But I've not gone and posted a role and just let the kind of CVs roll in, because I don't think it's the way of doing things anymore.
Agreed. And if there's any like VPs of sales listen to this, it's like I don't have time for that. When I was a VP of sales at CNET and I was trying to turn around a massively underperforming team, and like again, I'm happily share the post with you. I had 3 posts do more than 500,000 impressions. Like I didn't know anything about LinkedIn. I was just posting like I was literally just like on the train into London, like what am I up to? Or like I'd go into HubSpot, I'd take a screenshot of like my team's like cold call conversions or like, win rate change in the last 2 months, just a screenshot.
Yeah,
And this is what we're doing about it. And people just loved that.
I
You've
think
all got plenty of time. It's a priority thing, right?
it is like it. I tell people all the time, it doesn't have to be 7 days a week. It can be 2, 3, 4 days. You're not having to create something out of the blue. Like this is not, you're not doing the work of a marketing team. You've got to go and perfect the perfect blog post, get quotes from a customer, video, like all that stuff. That leave that to them.
Yeah.
This is like creating an employer and a personal brand is you. It's just sharing your voice. It's honest. Ironically, some of the worst performing posts I put out are the ones I put the most effort into. The best performing ones are the ones where I'm like, I've just thought of this, or I've just got off that client call, I've had an experience, I think I need to share it. I'm going to type it out rough and ready and just hit go, because if I don't, it's going to sit in my Apple Notes and I'll never get to it. So I'm just going to do it. They're the ones that people want to read. I think there's this content gets, in my eyes anyway, it's becoming too perfect a lot of the time. Um, and I think people are crying out for that just human element. Like AI is brilliant, but for content, I think too many people use it in a really bad way. So a lot of stuff just looks the same. Like people go on
Yeah.
ChatGPT and ask to write a piece of content for LinkedIn, and they all look similar. So go and use your own voice, type how you talk, share your real experiences, the ups, the downs, and it's the kind of thing that people are going to resonate with, and they'll join your journey because of that, and they'll want to work with you because of the kind of real insights that people share.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's so funny, a little bit frustrating as well at the same time. Like I built this home office down the back of the garden early this year. I don't know, spent like 20 grand, but spent a few £1,000s on a camera and a microphone. And then I go down the beach with my iPhone and I record like a video of me talking about 2 things that have really helped me build a career. Outperforms the high quality stuff that's done in here because it's just more like raw, authentic. It's not like polished up. And
Yeah.
I would recommend like before you spend loads of money on some good stuff, like just get into the habit of telling your story or sharing stories. And again, luxury about sales teams, sales leaders, go to market is you spend majority of your time, hopefully, with prospects and customers. So you've got loads of things to tell. You have to name anybody, but like, some of my best posts have been like, I was on a call with a VP of HR the other day at a 2,000 person manufacturing business. And this is what we spoke about. Or this is what is frustrating them at the moment. Dot, 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 dot. Like that's
It's
a scroll
honestly,
stopper.
it is. It's what people want to hear, because like as salespeople, as leaders, we don't get that kind of training. You get a lot of in-company product training, but you don't get the how do you, like, to use that example, how do I overcome a challenge with a manufacturing company? Or I'm an SMB rep and I see that post and I want to jump into enterprise commercial. Like that's the sort of thing that you're not going to get elsewhere, and
Yeah,
like there's so many knock-on effects from it. So yeah, just get started is like the bit of advice that I've got for people.
literally. Get started. Nothing bad can happen. Only good things can come from it. And do you know what? I don't know about you, Will, but I think it's going to be really cool. I'm starting to see more of this now. Like SDRs. Like I had an SDR on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, and then I went on his. And you are going to start to see more salespeople start podcasts because they're going to see the power of this stuff,
Yeah.
and they're going to want to start create their own like owned space. Like I've got a few thousand salespeople and sales leaders on a newsletter. If I get shut down on LinkedIn, I can rebuild. If I've got people on my podcast and on YouTube and in other places, I'm starting to create that kind of moat or whatever, right? So yeah, like I don't know about you, but I think it's cool. We're going to start to see more and more people doing what we're doing right now, is interviewing customers, right, and interviewing prospects and having great conversations and sharing
Yeah.
that as content.
Exactly. Like I think there's definitely going to be a shift towards own. And like the way I think about it as well is like, no one stays at the same company forever, right? Everyone is going to move. Doesn't matter what your level, whether you're an SDR, whether you're head of sales. the more relationships you build, the more kind of you can own your story and your narrative and your content. You can take that with you. You can't take the CRM, but you can take that with you. And that's like, for me, that's always been the trigger when I've started a new role, is reaching out to people in my network that I know I've worked with, they trusted me to say, hey, look, I've moved. Can we have a conversation? Um, it's a massive advantage as well. So yeah, people should definitely take the jump and start owning their own thing. And yeah, podcasts are a great way to do it, because again, it's like LinkedIn's becoming very filled with the same kind of stuff. Video, audio is a really nice way of standing out.
I mean, I love it. I get to interview my customers, and it turns into a case study and a testimonial, which we can then share with potential buyers. And I literally open up my CRM when we push out one of those, and I actually look at late stage deals. And I'm
Mhm.
like, hey, Will, just dropped a really interesting conversation with the head of sales over at here about this topic. You should check it out. Next minute, I'm like, hey, can we jump on a call? Right, like you can use it for that, or you can ask your like prospects, right? Like I interview, I don't know, three sales leaders every single week on my podcast. And, every now and then when we're having a really good conversation, they're like, hey, you said something really interesting on that call and we actually have that problem. Can we have a
Yeah,
chat? And then they turn into a customer. So, like, if you sold to the VP of HR, just go and find the ones on Sales Navigator with those job titles that are active on LinkedIn. They're probably trying to build their own brand
exactly.
themselves, and then ask them to come on your. You have to have an official show, but just interview people, right? And then you build connections with those people, and who knows, that could turn into a customer.
Exactly. It's like you never know what it can turn into. And I think like it's not just podcasts, it's everything as well. Like there's a rep that I'm coaching. He sent a so most reps when a deal kind of slows will send a case study as like a little prod, right? We've all done it. We've all been like, hey, just launch this case study. Why don't you check it out? In the hope that the buyer goes, oh, I've never seen a rep do that before. Um,
Yeah, that's a new move.
yeah, we've all done it.
Yeah,
But so he actually sent a piece of LinkedIn content. He was like, "Hey, I saw this, thought of you," and that was the trigger for the person to. And they responded like, "Hey, thanks. Sorry, been a bit quiet. This was nice." And like, the email said, "This is a really nice touch because it's different to what most people have said." Like
yeah,
it's tiny little things like that can make the world a difference. So it's for me, it's thinking outside the box. Like we've all done the same thing for years. No one teaches you how to do this. Um, you just got to think a little bit differently and see where it goes. Like you said, you're not going to get it wrong. And honestly, I think when it comes to building a brand, everyone's worst critic is themselves. Like
yeah,
we all sit there, and I did it when I started. We all sit there thinking, "Oh, what is everyone going to think? What are my colleagues going to think? What are those strangers on LinkedIn that I've never met or will never meet going to think?" Well, actually, no one cares. It's the only one that does care is you.
yeah,
Um, like we're all our own worst critics. So it's getting out of that, like the voice inside of you, which is telling you that the post is crap, or you've only got 500 impressions, and you've seen a LinkedIn influencer out there who's posting that they've got 250,000. Like it's just start and it snowballs from there. And it's what's interesting is it's often the people that don't engage that are the ones that will come and become the customers. Like you see a lot of people, you'll see the same names pop up over and over again, liking your content, commenting, but the world is full of people sitting there silently reading that you have no idea about.
I call them the
Like,
lurkers.
exactly, yeah, the lurkers. That's it, and it goes back to the point you made earlier around not giving up. It's they are there just because you're not seeing the results immediately doesn't mean that it's not happening. So, yeah, I think just everyone should be bearing that in mind when they get started.
Yeah, this was elite. Well, if we had to kind of leave like the listeners with one thing, like one bit of advice or maybe one tip that they can implement today to get started, what would that be?
Really good question. I think for me, it is. So I say a few things. Firstly, have a look at your LinkedIn profile and ask yourself: is it a CV or is it telling a story about yourself? Like our LinkedIn profiles have so much power. In the way I would honestly, the way I would do this is do it either on mobile or on desktop. Doesn't really matter which. And but don't scroll. Okay, so whatever's on screen when you land on your profile, use that. And if that just says, "Hey, I'm an AE at XYZ Co." You're blending into everybody else. Same as it could be I'm a VP of sales or wherever. You're blending into everybody else. So go and tell a bit of a story. Use the banner image, use your headline, use the about section, because usually that should appear on a desktop or a laptop. And then from there, I would honestly go and write down three things that you want to be known for. So um, And the way I think of this is something professional, so something to do with your day-to-day job, the company that you work for, something that you're passionate about, and it can tie into your work. So for me, this has been flexible remote working. Like, I'm quite passionate about that and the opportunities that can bring. And then something purely personal, and go and write 3 pieces of content, one which sits under each of those kind of headings. And from there, it's amazing when you start writing, the number of ideas you'll suddenly start to have. Like, if anyone listens to this anything like me, you'll start one post, and by the time you finish it, you've got 5 others kind of half drafted. So like, by the time you've done this exercise, there's a very good chance you've got 6, 7, 8 pieces of content written, and that can be your LinkedIn strategy for the next 3-4 weeks. So it's so easy to get started. It's just like, block out the time to do it. Stick in half an hour on a Monday, half an hour on a Friday, and you'll be amazed at how quickly it really becomes a habit. It's the one thing social platforms have got right. They give you those little endorphin kicks when you get a comment or a like. So go do that. Go look at your profile. Go start posting. And yeah, if anyone wants any advice, feel free to DM me as well, because I'm more than happy to give it.
That's going to make a great clip. That for sure. Really, really good. I don't know about you, but every now and then I write a post and I'm like, I'm writing a post for the weekend, like Saturday, for example. I'm like, that's too good for a weekend post. That's going to be a Monday post. And I go, I'll start again. And I get into a post and I'm like, that's just too good for a weekend because there's not as many people on the platform. And I'm just like, screw it, I'm just going to post it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Just post it. Like I said, genuinely, my LinkedIn notes has got about 80 or 90. I've got a folder on notes on Apple Notes with like LinkedIn posts. There's about 80 or 90 in there, which I probably did exactly what you just said. I was like, it's too good for a Saturday. People want to be in the pub watching the football. They don't want to be on LinkedIn. And I've not posted because of that, because then on Monday I've got another idea. So just put it out there. Like, LinkedIn, they have, I don't know a huge amount about the algorithm, but the one thing that is for sure is people see content for a lot longer now. Like, you'll see posts in your feed from 3 weeks ago. So just because you're not on it on a Saturday or Sunday doesn't mean other people aren't. And it also doesn't mean it's not going to show up the following Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah, agreed. That was awesome. Thank you so much for carving out the time. We'll make sure we put links to where people can find you, but do take Will up on it. Like, if this is something you genuinely want to do, which I reckon you should, and you need some help, then Will, is perfectly positioned to help you out. So, raise your hand and reach out.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's been fun.
Awesome. All right. Look forward to maybe getting you on again in 6 months and seeing what the world of LinkedIn's like then, and we can tell some more stories. So, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right, thanks for listening to this episode. I've got something else I want to give you before we wrap up here. So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills. And it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to the revenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions.